the lead, your Peter Byler, you're used to winning off NCSs, your Bugamiro, you want it back. You have to win off spawn. For Crisp and Nebify, every single game yesterday, it was just 2-on-2. I think they won almost every single one.
That's right, and if yesterday was any indicator, we all know game ones, game twos, the way you begin your tournament does not determine how you close out. You absolutely have to have a perfect strategy for Nebify Crisp. They come back in here, they close things up, they pick up where they left off. Can Skakuga and users do the same here? I mean, at this point, they've managed to continue to survive this drop. They have some of the best odds at survival here. Can the other opponents overcome the hurdles here?
It's all about the drops, how fast you fall right now for a bunch of the teams that were winning it towards the end of yesterday. They're holding on to that type of legacy, that type of push-pull situation. Synapse Station, Caster Nico having a few tough drops all the way towards the bottom. He's got power and loadout right now, but Elite and Glace, they've got the numbers.
In the feed as well, you see Walkers pick up Bryce there in another contested fight off on the side. But first, Synapse Station. An interesting draw spot here. This is a fight that, of course, is not too far off from Bugha and Miro, who have been farming this general area. Notice on the map, already we have some early action and activity coming in this general direction. This is, of course, going to play into the benefactor. But no, look, that's actually D-Roller and crew rotating on by. But let's get back on over to center map, right? This is a fight that we know has to conclude.
Yeah, user Skuga up against Bank and Tahi, and this fight has never gone this way. Usually ends super fast within 15 seconds. There's actually builds now being involved really far. Tahi actually having enough to actually push this fight. That's huge. Users has to adapt here. Just 3 builds to be able to use for himself. This cone going to be the key, but at the same time, he can't unlock the door. No shots landed. Tahi escapes down below. Used everything to have this little bit of a distraction. Gets users on the jump from side to side. Tahi tracking this entire fight. Doesn't even help Bank. This man's got the cash inflow. Skuga down. Bank and Tahi are back.
Looking like week one again here, where they were having successful wins out the gate. This time again, drags on a little longer. Donnie and Aviv are here to play spoiler. Shots coming from across the lake, you can only assume could be 7Z, Cold potentially, who land just south of this, but Donnie and Aviv, stories on you, as they're starting to slide on in, looking to play the big upset there, and Bank gets crushed with a huge shot from the 2-pump shotgun there. Okay, looking pretty good. Tahi's now looking extremely desperate behind the walls. The opponents in the general vicinity end up backing off for a second. Someone new wants to take a peek, but Donnie's gonna be quick. He's gonna close this one up, and just like that, they earn themselves 2 elims.
Third partying in, especially with 2 teams that fight so deep like that, it's so much easier for Donnie and Aviv to just come through and make it look like practice. Mason and Enpen, who were setting up a lot of traps actually towards the games, do exactly that to D-Roller, who wants to get to Knifer. Mason sees it coming, covers the left side. Right after that, piece control. He's able to control so much and dictate where Knifer wants to go. Nice wrap up, and those are all the early fights. Now we look at the leaderboard in terms of who's first, not just in elims, but overall in the competition. Peter Byler leading the pack by 20 points.
Incredible, right? Honestly, incredible. Consistency across season after season is nothing to overlook. What stands out to me is, of course, that Aegis and Kanata point there. The fact that they literally only had 2 end games yesterday, 2 of 6 games, and that places them up at 12th. They have just proven that they can find some of the most elims.
Yeah, and you'll also notice if you're watching this, we have so many stats based off stories that have happened. It feels like you're turning in with a tournament already halfway, and it's just the start of the day for NA East. There were 6 games yesterday. This is a 12-game total format. If this is your first time watching a total tournament, and right now players have had a break, they're coming back in. It's the exact same lobby. Nothing's really switched up. Some of the drops though new. Some of these fights, definitely tips from maybe coaches or people reviewing you and your teammate how to talk on what to do to improve the way you play the game. But we'll see differences all across the map.
That's right. For Jack and Nosh here, they land outside the Tilted Towers. They typically tend to go into the city to take a fight, but Kicks and Sphinx learn from yesterday's mistakes. They exit faster, and now that battle continues on the outskirts for Pamsto and Fatch. This is their shot. They get to this metal tower here. They break it down. They consume as much material as possible, and then they take this on over. Already, the continuation of the zones is coming north. The map reveals that it's somewhat in their general area. It's looking pretty good for a current top 3rd position team of Pamsto and Fatch.
Yeah, for these guys, a lot of the times when you're watching top teams play, even Duke and Clicks, it seems almost effortless the way that Clicks likes to clutch. For Pamsto and Fatch, the POV we just saw before, you can feel the effort, the work they're putting in. Different work has to be put in for this team, though. For Duke and Clicks, it's about staying alive, staying together. It's a duos competition, and they have a majority of their points from either player just clutching.
That's right. This is a team that, of course, when they are together, I mean, it's a match and it's a flame. Anything can happen. The combustion is always there. You never really know. But so far, we've only seen one or the other component, both not quite making it to end the game.
Yeah, you're talking about synergy, then this is the POV to watch. Yamzo, Jamper, always together. And they're playing like they want to win this FNCS. A lot of the times, the Yamzo's playing like he wants to win every game, and that puts him way up in the top 5. But they've been looking at consistency more than anything else. They have a tough decision to make, a far rotate. They don't risk as much anymore. They stick together, stay low, keep their heads down, and wait for the right time to strike. We'll see if that type of play style is good for day 2, or if they should go back to controlling more of the game.
Jamper and Yamzo have the same thing in common with Edgy and Acorn in the sense they play for that extreme high ground position, right? They try to get as high as possible here so that they can survey the entire area and really make it difficult for players to rotate center map there. Meanwhile, ClearDG and Slacks, completely different situation here. They're on the foot move right now, and they're being held out to the hands of Rhythm and 20 here, who have that high ground position. They're starting to look down here. The angles are good, and a great counterfire here from ClearDG. This is a team that's on the bubble. Not out of the conversation by any means. A couple of great games today, and they'll be on that rocket ship on up to a well-placing tournament end. For 7Z and Cold, what can they do? This is a team that realistically has never left the conversation of a top 5 or so, but my gosh, we're seeing the struggle this weekend.
That's what happens when your drop is just kind of affected on day number 1. On day 2, looks like they have gotten rid of their rivals. Either Donnie and Aviv went somewhere else, or 7Z and Cold are also switching up their spot completely. Blatant Verk also rocking in. What I'm liking from a bunch of these teams is that you can still see the confidence there. They're ready to go. There's new things happening on day 2 with how they move. 88 players left in the lobby so far. What to watch if you tune into any of these POVs is looking at the points they have. That golden number right next to their health bar. If it's triple digits, that team's doing really well. Has a chance to stay in top 10. Shonye, OMG Me Too 124 is that number you should be looking at. It's really nice for those guys over on day 1. This is one of the most aggressive teams we watched, Monster. There was so much fun to tune in with.
There was a point in time yesterday where it looked like OMG Me Too and Shonye were unstoppable. Quite literally picking up some of the fastest chain of elims in the early and mid game that we've seen in any tournament, especially a final settings. If they can repeat that performance again here, they'll surely rock it up and close that gap. As we know, it's around 20 or 30 points or so as we start dropping outside that top 5. So it will be a hero's effort, a huge game, a monumentous game in order to jump up. Yamzo, meanwhile, gets eliminated by Golden in the feed there. That is one of the most crucial takedowns early right now. And we know they're typically positioned high up on top of that mountain, so caught on the rotate here, you don't expect that.
And when you're playing Fortnite competitive in this type of lobby all the way in the mid game, what you want to do is just start dealing damage to people. If you don't, the server starts to deal damage to you. You want to stay active. It's a mechanic called Storm Surge. How Jamper and Yamzo play it, the teammate of Jamper, Yamzo just went down, Monster mentioned it, is that they split apart a little bit and cover more ground. If a duo comes in that likes to stay together like Golden and Silver, they can just single out Yamzo, make it a 2v1. It's so much easier to win that fight. That's exactly what happened, and now Jamper's just by himself.
Season Day also play that type of play style, and interestingly enough, they do that around the same exact area, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Big changes from day 1 to day 2. Mini, he's got the news as to what's actually happening.
Yeah, big change indeed. Now, yesterday we saw Bugha and Mira landing towards the left side or the west side of Chonkers Speedway. Now they're landing towards the east side. This allows them to use the Rift. And what I find interesting about what they're doing at the moment, even though it's a north zone, they're actually going back to Chonkers Speedway. This allows them to get a few extra surge tags onto the team, Costa and Zeus, that is contesting them over at Chonkers Speedway. You can see the tags coming through right now. And of course, they are able to get all of the metal that is around the edge of this side of the map. You can see all these little cars that are being able to be farmed. So this actually maxes out Bugha's metal, you can see on the screen right now. So they're just playing the edge of this map, and of course, they can get all the scraps from the loot that Costa and Zeus left at Chonkers Speedway. This is really the key to their success so far.
Yep, baby.
Thank you, Manny. Absolutely. It's the ebb and flow, the back and forth, and their drop has so much to put down. They're still farming up precious materials. You want to have that metal all the way up and still dealing damage because we are getting towards that middle portion of the game. So huge for Bugha Miro. Second place overall, too. They want to keep rising.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see that they're taking advantage of the newer teams in the area. Costa and Zeus don't have much finals experience. So for them to go ahead and recognize the weaker players in the general area to take advantage of that, and honestly outsmarting them, switching up that draw spot in case that team was looking to do their homework, change up the strategy, and ruin their chances this weekend. You'd love to see the cautious actions take place there, but let's hop on over to some more fights here. Quad and Tab G trying to get active here. This is definitely the strat at play. Over peeking while you have the barrel out in the open. Both sides are doing it. They're ready. They're willing to go for these exchanges. So far, it's Quad and Tab G are going to get the benefits of the tags there and get the damage lead. So that's going to be perfect for them. No shot that team peeks back. They have to heal. They have much more to worry about, and they use this time to rotate. Smart play for Moons Tabs G. And of course, level up. Quad right now, you love it. And look at that. That puts them 100 above, so those tags are crucial.
Got to be careful, though, where you make the base. If Quan Tabs G stayed there for even a second more, there were about 5 different teams that could have shot him up, so I like the fact that they actually move. By Peterbot, it's not going to be a base race for them as much as storming the castle here. This mountain becomes so big and vertical all the way towards the top. There is a team up there. They're going to be just surveying the ground, looking for the next team to shoot, if they can find one. If not, I haven't seen them really shoot too many people. Yeah, they're only about 87 above. They have to get to fighting fast. First place, want to keep that lead.
Crazy to think they were just moments away from clashing against Camster and Fats right there, who were just bending around the mountain. But a fight that is breaking out right now, our 9th place team, Paper and Lawrence. A great day one for a team like Paper and Lawrence, just dropping a single game there. The difference in why they slipped down and lost that bit of consistency. But this is a team that surely has been playing very, very well. So far, so good for them. And they've managed to stay consistent enough to go ahead and not really have too much of a pressure situation lining up in front of them. Meanwhile, Threats and Macwood seem like they're on the prowl right now. Yesterday, the line was, Macwood is back. What can they do right now? They're going to have to continue to prove if whether or not he's really in shape right now.
Need a lot of damage, 100 below, so either Macwood or Threats on screen right now needs to land about 3 or 4 shots on someone. He's going to be looking for it. A chance for 5 to drive into a player's body. Not going to be enough. There's 2 opportunities here. 2 different players, Pump and Teo, that Macwood can just keep shooting at. The entire lobby now moving from that side as he reloads. Yamzo Jamper running into lots of problems with their early game. They've dealt no damage to anyone. Haven't had a conversation with a single team that will come back to bite them. Why? Because Yamzo went down. Jamper had to pick him back up. They're going to go fight exactly who took down Yamzo. It's revenge there for Fatch and Pamsto. Shifty Shafts, who said there'd be a collision monster. They'd run into trouble in this mountain. They definitely have. And both of them are barely even alive. Half HP.
Not only that, the fact that Fatch is using heals on his own, right, individually shows the desperation right now. He is not willing to even take the risk of sitting around on low HP, but luckily they get together. That was a clash against Degen and Playify, who was on the other side of that Shifty Shafts. Looks like a little ambush was set up. Peterbot and Bila also was looking like they were about to get eliminated for a moment there, as Macwood have them in their sights. They're just in that general area. Threats and Macwood now push in because they got those opening tags before we slid away. Threats is hurt here to the Storm Surge. Seems like it's active. Peterbot wants nothing to do with that. He's on the run right now. This is a tournament running opportunity right here on the line. All he has to do is survive essentially at this moment.
Storm Surge striking Threats right now. Wants to make sure that he's playing with time correctly. Macwood also desperately in need to get to just one of these boxes, but they can't find it. Bila Peterbot just too good at playing the layers game, switching up exactly where they are. Threats now trapped inside. Huge damage from the cone too. The fact that Bila took no damage from that, absolutely perfect. Saved the resources, and they pick up an easy 2 eliminations on both Macwood and Threats.
You know what? You take that clip, you put it in slow motion. Look at how quick they were able to react there. But hold up, 3rd place on the walls of our 1st place team. Facts with the opener to Peterbot the trade, and Pamsto clutches up. What did we just watch? The craziest of exchanges. Peterbot and Bila let their guard down for a brief moment, and that is what the best of the best will do. You'll lose your tournament run. Meanwhile, 4th place also in a world of trouble. The whole entire script has been flipped on its head.
The top of the table, the High Council's kind of fallen. Every single top team struggling, except for Bugamiro, except for 3rd place, Fatch and Pamsto. What a way the Stormrunners to come in from the darkness, just strike inside that box. Have a trade there too. The fact that Fatch trusts Pamsto enough to be able to finish that, put his body on the line for it. That was just such a good display, and they needed that too. They needed the damage or they would have been taken out.
At this point, personal mistakes were made. I should not have had any coffee because I knew this was going to be exciting. It was going to get me going either way, but my gosh, I am peaking right now. It's feeling so good as Acorn and Edgy now in 5th. We have ourselves a tournament because what's going to happen now, that gap that we saw, very, very rarely will that gap be disrupted as quickly as it has right now. We are going to immediately see this lobby start to condense as far as the point threshold goes. So pay very, very close attention. We have ourselves a finals.
Absolutely. The first place team, 20 points ahead, taken out by the third place team. That means everyone else can catch up. Acorn and Edgy, they're going to be the 5th place team, but they're below damage right now. They need to deal something. Shoot a body somewhere. We need to see numbers pop up on this screen. But Acorn can't find anyone. So many boxes, so many chances. Now that HP bar will start to go down, lightning every 5 seconds for 25 damage. They can take about 4 of them. There it is from Edgy. That's 1. He's about 2 more here to be above thresholds. It's good for now, but it's not going to be enough.
It's not much. And also notice that team that they were looking at in the distance was Booga and Miro as well. So a little bit of lobby focus there can also spell trouble for a 2nd place position team. But Edgy and Acorn have to do so much more if they want this tournament to go in their favor, as roughly 13 or so players will have to fall. The threshold is very far away. No one is safe. Meanwhile, we have Clix and Duke. We haven't shown them yet today, but don't worry. Do not worry. We get to see what they're made of right now. They're on the move. They're on the rotate. They're looking good, right? But look at the loadout here, Shia. What does that tell you?
Tells me that they don't have that much firepower up inside their inventories at all, up inside their loadouts. So you want to have a little bit of more oomph, especially for the end game. Also lacking a few heals. They've definitely had a lot of trials and tribulations to get to this point, but we're fighting around tilted towers. Lots of opportunities for box fights. That's where Clix thrives. For solo clutches, though, it's going to be tough to be able to get any damage done. A lot of people will just stay hiding. Slacks, although he needs to hide, he also needs to stay active inside the game. He needs to find a duo and get to work. 29 damage, no heals, gray weapons. Anyone can just see that this is super down bad.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
The word I'm looking for is down and bad. This is a rough position to be in for any professional player. Game 7, 29 HP. You really have to think about it. It's almost impossible to ask him to come back now. OMG Me Too might just be served up a free opportunity here if they pounce on it. Let's take a look. Shonye, OMG Me Too, 7th place after the first day. Right now, just barely above the surge, so they're going to have to pick and choose their poison. It's go right or it's go left. Right now, they're looking at the team on the right. Little do they know there is that solo there opposite of the angle, but they will have to get active. Meanwhile, 7Z and Cold are on the rotate right now, outside the zone, just in the what is this, the congested area here. Such a tough spot to rotate through.
And the mix of things, and it's tough. Many players also not being able to get on the train and get to the next portion of this game. Donnie going down, Hoofishy taking them out. A lot of the people on the right side coming in from Tilted Towers. Not gonna have the most pleasant ride, the most scenic route into the end game where a lot of points are handed out for placement. 7Z inside the box will deny Tabney a chance at getting eliminations, but it'll cost him all his shields. He'll have to heal up here. Loadouts will have to basically get chopped in half.
Definitely a tough spot to be in here. If even Donnie versus Cold and 7Z there. Might be a little heated battle, but let's see it. On over to Duke and Clix. 200 above the surge, so they've managed to do enough. Also, Zone Pool's favoritism towards the south here. Not too far for them, as they're also in front of the congested pack, so it's pretty good. Meanwhile, Playify falls in the feed there to the surge. This will alleviate the surge for now. This will basically stop the damage from going to the rest of the lobby. Everyone gets to have a moment to breathe here, but it's only gonna last 55 seconds. Meanwhile, Thatch finds Hoofishy, another set of eliminations. The gap continues to close here. And also, 23 duos remaining equals more placement points now as teams start to fall. So we are really jumping into the hero point threshold area where all the big numbers start to add up.
Seeing improvements for every team as well from the previous day. Clix and Duke now staying together up and alive. Kaz and Hoofishy also being very active. They were very quiet yesterday. Rise and Trashy, unfortunately, the same mistakes. These guys are a sponge. They can take a lot of punishment. Unfortunately, it's kind of just been information and action overload for the team. Trashy now down. It's all up to Rise to clutch this out. He has the grapple gloves. He has the swing and the mobility. Look at this go. Matt's still running out down to just brick. Use it up, has about 10 more boxes to make. If he's kind of frugal with him. With the zone changing now, it'll start to move everywhere across the map. He'll be pressured down. Fatch and Pamsto are on fire. 5 eliminations. I talked about you can feel the work when these guys are playing. They really put everything down, elbow grease into every single elimination. And they're doing it right now up to 2nd place. They're taking over 3rd, and we know that 1st is down. They can really take the lead.
We don't want to speak too soon, though. There are still new teams looking to make headlines today. Jackson and Chubbs being that, setting the example right now as they have high ground. They have an opportunity to take home a victory royale should they hold this out correctly. Commandment and Avery, we've seen several times poised up for high ground as well. You know, really eyeing us saying, hey, man, can we really do this? We know Commandment is known for the low ground, so more often than not, you see there, they opt to jump down low. Meanwhile, Booga is hurt. No shields, no HP for him. Miro alongside, same situation.
No mats for Miro either, so that team is absolutely running on fumes. Clix and Duke, though, waiting on the backside. They love rolling the zone late, so let's see if they can survive. Donnie just revived. Has minimal mats to work with and is out way in the open. Not a single shot even coming at him. Trees blocking him all around the way, down to just 6 mats. They have to jump into a box now. Maybe Aviv has some materials, but he's running out of health completely. Agers denied high ground. Chubbs and Jackson just too strong on the defense from the top rope.
Miro takes out Clix there with a huge shot, though. Swings around the wall and gets everything he needs. A little bit of mats, more time, but he loses Booga in the process. Miro once again now by himself in the end game here, and it's only going to continue to add up. Take a look here. He has to double back into the storm line. Reads a player. Big shot there, but no. Taken out and down he goes. Edgy and Acorn on the other side in 5th place now. Starting to get active. Pamster and Fat looking great up above. And we have ourselves quite the game now.
The lobby's so close to each other from top down, but the ground actually gives out. We're moving off a mountain straight down to the dirt. This lobby will just get so vertical, so fast. Donnie wants to live here and stay on this layer, but he does not have the mass to be able to just stay on this ride. Towards the right side, Costa up inside a few boxes. If he had its back, Donnie's gone. Kanata by himself. Agers tried to take to the skies, but his wings were clipped, so now it's up to Kanata to float. Kaz lost Hoop Fishy down in the depths of the water, but he can move throughout the storm. It's raining, it's pouring. Kaz, though, he's looking for glory. Any type of shot, and it's Donnie that he sees. The big jump, and boom! He misses! What, Kaz? No chance. Donnie survives.
Donnie hits the shot that matters most there. We couldn't have set it up better either. He should have connected, but hey, these things happen when the pressure is on. Meanwhile, Crisp and Nevify on the ultimate low here, trying to make clean up the dust under the carpet, but no! Nevify fights back. He loses his man down. Chucky gets the siphon, and he will have a little bit more time, but this is weird terrain. You can actually walk through this, so we're gonna have to reevaluate the situation here. Meanwhile, Pamsto and Fatch in 2nd place right now. They jump their way out. They actually managed to close the gap and catch up to Peterbot and Byla, and now things become even more contested up top.
Commandment, star player, up inside his natural habitat, looking at every single build, looking at a clutch situation. It's Wood here. He can jump in at any moment, but he's waiting his time. Fatch, the protagonist, Pamsto, the hero. In this game, they can definitely take over.
Finds another one. Nevify now swinging his way all the way outside. Will this be another one served up for Pamsto and Fatch? We know they're on this side of the zone. They're dangerous and they're on fire here, so you do have to be careful. Meanwhile, Nevify gets caught up in a web's trap there. Costa is the one who gets it, but you know what? Pamster and Fatch are fighting back on the same exact team here and already putting down big pressure. Acorn and Edgy on the other side, just completely quiet as they just branch their way into the safety of this zone. But everyone is starting to fall now. Jackson and Chubbs are on top, racking up eliminations. They also have been extremely active here.
Oh, Fatch taking out champions now up against legends. Too much to handle. That water too deep. Chubbs and Jackson, they want to go for a swim. It's vacation time. They've got so many mats. This is a victory lap. Nawson, the last person left. He's got a pistol in the inventory. Chubbs, what type of loadout is this? Swagging on him. Nawson now down below in a 1v2. It's possible. There is a chance if he has the mats that there's a clutch coming out from this man down below.
Here it is, Jackson and Chubbs, the 2v1 situation. This could be their 6th elimination, a victory royale, and a comeback story for them as they start to jump back up into the game here today. But the low ground player has so much to work with. MPED looking very good here. Nawson is going to get shot with a big shot there. Jackson closes out in the end. and he finds his 6th elimination.
That is just really nice, cerebral, and a default type of win from Jackson up top. Him and Chubbs had the high ground from the 5 zone, the best pull 2, and controlled the entire lobby. Dictators in game number 7.
Well, it's crazy. Not a single team wanted to contest them. The fact that they were up there with, I believe, 0 or just a single-digit elimination and then turn that. No, actually, it was 0. Take a look here. Not a single elimination. They find 6 in the end the moment they take high ground. And that's the riskiest thing you can do as a duo, is commit your materials from height that early and say you're going to take it all the way to the end. Take a look at that.
Yeah, they started this entire game way outside of the 20th place range on the leaderboard. They're going to shoot all the way up to 18th and even higher after that. Big shout outs to Chubbs and Jackson. The rest of the story, though, for the top 5, you know, Peterbot Bila going down, Fashion Pamsto, a phenomenal game from them. Absolutely impressive. I want to see what changes that makes.
Hey, everything is going to change here, but congrats to Chubbs and Jackson, of course, taking that win. Game 7 is off to a bang. This is the NA East Finals. We're starting it up. Let's send on over to Kelly.
Congratulations to Jackson there. Of course, though, we have to talk about some of the top teams going down a little early, like Peterbot and Bila going down in the mid-game there. Of course, we also saw oh my gosh, Bugha and Miro having a little bit of a struggle as well, and having Pamsto and Fatch taking over that 2nd place spot.
Absolutely, yes. Going down early means that some of these teams that were on the chase have the opportunity of a lifetime. Make a statement. Game number 1 of day 2, ultimately game number 7, and Pamsto and Fatch did just that. They made it into the end game, and honestly, it looked like for 1 second right there that they were actually going to win it because they were playing so well on the low ground.
Yeah, bringing that momentum from day 1, channeling it over into day number 2 here. They already have the blueprint. They already have the recipe. They just need to be able to execute on it, and if today is anything, they've already got things going in such a forward progression. You can see teamwork really making the dream work, because while Pamsto backs out, Fatch is just going ahead and continuing that pressure to give them time to heal.
Yeah, I love this right here. The last second, right, they realize they have no builds, and the cohesive dive down into the water, like synchronized swimmers, both going for the shots, making sure that they get as many points as they possibly can. And ultimately, look, that effort is going to put them in 1st place with 194 points.
I thought they just stole 2nd, but stealing 1st place. But there is only just a 2-point difference from Peterbot and Bila, and that's due to the fact that Peterbot and Bila, although going down early, were able to grab just a few amount of eliminations.
And the storyline is set up here perfectly, right? Because guess who they went down to, Jacob? They went down to Pamsto and Fatch coming out of the storm, who looked like they were so shambles. They needed Storm Surge, but a little bit of a mistake from Peterbot and Bila, leaving their top open. Pamsto and Fatch took full advantage. That instant 1-pump that comes out, they get the knock, the cleanup is there, and now they are in contention for winning this whole thing.
Yeah, I said it yesterday about Clicks and Duke, but the Cinderella story might be Pamsto and Fatch, because they were almost not here at all, not even a chance, but they got it served up to them, and they're taking that serving and really putting it to work.
I feel like there's so many stories going on right now on our leaderboard. So many big names, the top names of NA East. And then, of course, we still have the newer teams as well, like Shoney and OMGB2. But speaking of new teams, we have to talk about Chubbs and Jackson.
First of all, somebody has to have a conversation with Chubbs. If he has a coach, got to make sure that he knows that pistol is not ideal in an endgame loadout. But look at him. He is making it work. Maybe it is. The big damage numbers coming out. We can see him right there picking up the elimination. And then I also saw later on that he actually finds Ager with it as well. You can deal big damage with it, but I mean, like, listen, this was just free for these guys. I don't think anybody even realized that there was a high ground team. They were all just like, oh yeah, that's fine, just leave them up there. And as a result, they have so many materials. I mean, 60 builds right now going into the 9th zone. How in the world do you do that?
Yeah, and I think it kind of played a part of where the zones actually went. It was pretty center for the most part, getting pulled over, tilted, and just the amount of work. And that's got to give Chubbs and Jackson a ton of confidence continuing on the rest of the day, because it's not always how you start, it's how you finish that is just as important.
I mean, you're hating on the pistol, but I saw eliminations coming out of there. Although they didn't make it into our top 10, a team that did, Nevify and Crisp, who had almost double-digit eliminations in that game.
Yeah, they bumped up 11 places, put themselves in the top 10. Agers and Kanata also now, they were 12th place coming into day number 2. Now they're 9th, so the rise is there. But somebody that I loved to see right there, Acorn and Edgy, knowing full well that coming into the day that they were on the chase, but then they realized Bugha and Miro went down a little bit early in that end game, as did Peterbot and Bila, and they took full advantage of it as well. We can see them right here in the end game, playing their game perfectly. They find themselves in a position on the low ground to where they can show off their mechanics, show off their teamwork, and it worked so well. And now believe we can see them in the 4th place position on day number 2.
Yeah, and we kept talking about all these north pulling zones and what some of these top teams were able to do while the zones were continuing pulling north. But once you get that zone that favors you, that's almost a must-win situation for Acorn and Edgy. Even though they didn't necessarily win it, they won in the sense of they just bumped up a lot of points, giving themselves more of a cushion to work with.
A team that went down just a little bit, though, was Bugha and Miro. And although they did kind of have a struggle towards the mid to late game there, I think Bugha was down at half health for 3 zones right there. They were actually able to last a lot longer than I thought they were.
I mean, that's the name of the game for this duo. They will never go down without getting, it seems like, at least 20 points. I mean, this is actually phenomenal. I have no idea how they do so good in the Storm Surge category because Mini broke it down in the middle of that game. They use that rift down there and they land even like further south than you would think, right? With a northern pulling zone coming up to the center of the map, they don't even decide to go for it. They're like, no, listen, this is what we're used to. We're going to still stay all the way down here to the south. But still, I think when the first Storm Surge warning popped, they were like 300 above. I'm just like, where did you get all that damage from? And then again, coming into the end game, they had 0 eliminations.
And honestly, a lot of the people in the community might be thinking, like, what happened to Bugha and Miro? Why are they moving their drop spot? I think that is just a calculated play coming out of them. They're giving up most of Chonkers, going south, like you said, using the rifts, coming right back. So they didn't really change up their drop spot too much. All they really changed was their plan.
And one thing that changed in that game that we didn't get to see yesterday is a more southern zone, but I say southern because it was in the middle of the pack, and one of the teams was kind of complaining about it was Kanata and Agers, and we did see they had a better performance in that game.
Yeah, just a little bit better. We saw Agers going down to that pistol that you talked about before. Kanata still showing that he has the gusto to kind of pull out those points as a solo, but I will say this is Duo FNCS Finals day number 2. Those solo plays are great, very, very entertaining, but enough is enough. It's time for them to outlast everybody else as a team.
5 games left. I believe the gap between 1st and 10th was about 60 points, and that can close very quickly, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, we had a lot of northern zones. We also had a mid zone, but now I'm asking for a southern zone right now. Game 8, let's do it.
Game 8.
When the day began, it was looking like a 2-horse race. All of a sudden now, so many others have entered into the competition. I mean, this track is loaded.
Absolutely. It's all about the catch-up now inside NA East day number 2. Let's get right to it, Monster.
Let's jump on that battle bus. Let's get on with it. It's game number 8 here. What has been an incredible kickoff to our NA East Finals. I mean, already the standings, the leaderboards the teams are looking at, it's feeling like an iconic day already.
Absolutely. Vivid already mentioned it from 1st all the way down to 10th. Jacob 2. 60 points of a difference. It's very, very close, and that can quickly get caught up in the next 5 games. You mentioned too, $692,000 on the line. There's a few hundreds in there too. There's some mathematics, but these players are focused on the points.
That's right. I mean, because the points at the end of the day are going to equal out to your money. And what's really cool about the pricing breakdown is that, hey, you can earn so much more, and you'll see it as we start getting closer and closer to game 12. Those little bits of big performances are going to jump you up so much more, and it's going to mean so much more. But of course, to get there, you have to win your early game fight. So again, we get to see these struggles, these same exact areas. These are going to be our early game entertainment, if you will.
Absolutely, and for them, whoever wins, it's about the power and loadout. It's one of the only times where you can really analyze what weapons people have. Casker had the right position. Him and Nico finally winning off the spot in record fashion. It's a lot more of a struggle city nation for them usually. It's all good, it's all fine. Nawson, we just saw, get 2nd place in the last game, also contested up against Naves and Aaron. They have the most cinematic fights, I feel like, across the entire map in different locations. It's like watching a movie from day 1 to day 2. This time, there's a pause on Aaron's arc and storyline. Nawson rises all the way to the top.
At this point, I wonder if they just say, you know what? We're going to fight at this building now. Yesterday it was on the coast or the side of the mountain. Now it's just here at this exact area in this building. So it's very interesting how this team continues to clash into one another regardless of what strategies they decide to employ. That's what happens, though, because as you start to realize their draw spot, I mean, there's not a lot of loot here for multiple teams to split up and break apart. This is one of those situations where you quite literally have to beat the team to get access and gain access to the rest of the loot path.
Yeah, there's not even a trap you can put down to gain that access against the other team. It's a very adaptive type of fight. Sometimes builds get railed up all across the top of this house like they are in this game. Other times it's a low ground fight. So mix of both on this one. Aaron just trying to survive. You're wondering why he's clapping back. He has no builds to be able to actually play any defense here. He has a sword, but does not have a shield. Rice has a mix of both for the moment, going on the chase down, but doesn't want to commit too far, too hard because, yeah, he's winning against Aaron. It's a different conversation if Naves gets involved and it's a 2v1. No matter how many builds he has, he's not going to be able to handle that pressure.
Austin gets hurt there. He has to back up, use the 1 mini that he had left in the inventory. Will he double back to Bryce here? Looks like it. Bryce is going to go ahead and play support to his teammate as he swings around the outside. But once again, it just brings up that conversation. This team kind of have to end the battle because if they don't have access to that extra loot. There it is. They absolutely needed it. The siphon, the materials, what they had left, all swings into their favor. And look at that. They get to upgrade their SMG as well. So it was very much worth it.
Very genius from Austin as well. Sacrifices about 110 HP to be able to place 2 pre-edited walls. It gives his teammate from the backside access to deal as much damage as possible. Bryce was there, and he landed every shot that needed to. Just wraps up that fight. One of the best things, too, is not just winning your POI, but saving a lot of time while you're doing it as well.
Notice Booga and Miro get the equivalent of a half vault there, which is very, very important. Kept emphasizing why they're giving up half of their drop spot, but, you know, the trade is, you know, they get early access to the vault. They get to rotate from there to Condo Canyon or back down the coast and take literal pick and choose who they want to farm for tags and possibly fights.
Yeah, for a lot of these top teams, Fashion Pamsel included, they're going to trade off risk and bigger chances of items for consistency. Yamzo Jamper, this is 5th versus 6th. Avery Commandment landing right beside them. They're going all in with a risk. A little bit of a surprise. They know exactly how Avery moves. This is what happens after your review on day 1. Waiting for them to come so straight to this rock. This is a little bit of a part of the early game. You want to farm up all your mats. These rocks give you so much brick. You're usually taking about all of them as well. The smart thing for Yamzo Jamper is they're all the way on the far rock. There's not too much to be able to build over here. Usually you're by yourself too. There comes a surprise. Avery on the right side. They have a pinch on him now too. Instantly down. Jamper has the next shot landing in. Commandment has to be mad about this one. He has such a long way to go. You waste so many builds going back there too. This was genius from Yamzo and Jamper, and it worked out perfectly.
Not only that, if you clip that moment, Yamzo intentionally steps past Avery there to box him in. Before he even realizes he's getting pinched, they are ahead. Literally multiple steps ahead.
Absolutely, and Avery has to turn around, look at Yamzo, and react to his building. Jamper, free shots to the back. That's absolutely amazing.
That was the perfect execution of an ambush, I think, that we've seen on the day. Yesterday, we saw an attempted one at the north side. It flopped. It flopped. Oh, in the end, the team on offense did end up winning, but that was an excellent execution here. Meanwhile, Byla and Peterbot here, put yourself in their shoes. They were in the lead by so much, 20, almost 30 points there. They come into game 1. They drop the ball, and now all of a sudden they are just neck and neck with Pamster and Fatch here.
Yeah, they were taking a few more risks overall. I talked about that versus consistency. They're staying in the zone, taking their time, weren't really pushing forward and doing as much active work as we saw on day 1 in the early game. As a result, they were a little bit later to get in. Mac with threats. They had that drop down, but yeah, Fashion Pamsel just wanted it more. I feel like they have a fire under their feet right now.
The most difficult part, realistically, is everyone has to stay consistent. As we all know, it is very, very hard to do with the ever-evolving nature of Fortnite. The zones, the players, the loot, the loadout, right? Like, how can you continue to stay consistent? That's the hard part. That's the most difficult question to answer day in and day out. As Clix and Duke here are eyeing up teams, they see what seems to be an abandoned base in the distance there. They're trying to feel out where can they find some tags. OMG, Me Too, and Shonye, they have this drop spot on lock here. They understand how to play it out. We saw Kanata and Agers fall victim to OMG, Me Too, and Shonye when they were hovering around a little too long and OMG, Me Too rotated on their heels. They will not let a team escape them, and that's kind of their strong suit, if you will. So you do have to be careful.
They're trying to attract any players to see them as well with those geysers. Slash and Clarity might be doing the same thing with these overall slipstreams around and the silos available. Peterbot and Byla don't need these types of gimmicks and distractions. They can just go straight for a team. A nice box fight, but for users, Skuga, they might want that. They like it when fights get slightly dirty and a little bit scrappy on the low ground. Peterbot, they're edging forward to it, but they want to have it at a perfect time.
And they might be thinking, because they saw a chest to the right, hey, wait a second, these guys might come out and actually go for that loot too. Does seem like they just finished up an elimination. There's some loot around. It's clear that the builds are just getting there. So they are trying to set up another ambush here. Here it is. the opportunity to open up. Oh my, it's not looking good for you users, and he gets boxed up so quick, he can't even react. Byla is already in there, and it's over before he can even call for help from Skakuga. Skakuga does put some shots down, but it's not gonna be enough. He has lost his teammate as quick as a flash there. In that moment, it's over. Notice the team to the north turns and burns. They're out. They said, oh, that's Byla? Later. I'm out of here. They left that team immediately.
Match number 8 out of 12, a game of traps and trades. That's exactly what's going on right now. Every single team is just setting things up. They're learning from that first day. They're interrupting people doing their daily duties.
Now let's talk about this. For the first time today, we get a Southern, actually, scratch that. The first time in 2 days, Southern Zone. Aegis Kanata get to get in there. Booga Miro get to be in this zone as well. The problem here lies now for Pamstone and Fash, the northernmost landing team of all the teams inside the top of the standings. But not only that, they have the pressure of being in first place currently. We have yet to see them overcome the hurdle in this final settings where the lobby pulls this far south.
Literally, the first place team has the longest rotation to make. They have to be on their feet 24/7 and deal damage and farm and make sure they're safe. So, yeah, for a team like that, Monster, you're correct. This will be a very tough game. And Kelly asked for a South Zone. Are we in the desert? Kind of. It's a little bit towards that top right side. That first place team will be thanking the Zone Lords for making it pop right there. A bunch of everyone else will also have to adjust and move towards the right. I think the entire team was waiting for things to go to the desert. Rokan and Dubs, kind of that same type of situation. Talking about Pamstone and Fash, though, I want to see exactly how they're making this rotate. I'm tossing Mini right into the game.
I'm in the game, and so are Pamstone and Fats. They're in the South Zone game at the moment. How are they going to overcome this obstacle? Of course, they've had so many North Zones, as you guys mentioned, and this is where things get a little bit difficult. They're getting as many tags as they possibly can on this sort of west side of the Daily Bugle. But interestingly enough, they're actually rotating to the east side of Daily Bugle. They're playing for the dead side. They're wanting to try and get as little eliminations, as little action as possible on this rotate, just trying to use as many of these tags as possible, and interestingly, trying to get dead side instead of the central.
All right, Monster, hold on to this imaginary rope.
I got
ready?
it.
Pull.
I'm pulling.
We got to pull Mini out of the game.
Oh my
Too
gosh.
many facts. Now we know exactly what Pamstone and Thatcher are about. We were talking about risk and consistency. They're keeping things very cool. They want to be invisible this game.
All right, Mini, in the meantime, learn how to swim. We don't want to pull you out. Again, we want to make sure you swim right on over to us. Byla and Peterbot are floating right now, casually holding out Skakuga here. We already saw him pick up that elimination. They're just hoping to get that second extra. Let's watch the highlights go down here. Commandment and Avery find themselves against Golden and AV inside the storm line, deep outside the safety of the area, and it does seem like they managed to find Golden there. Shots go in, Commandment gets punished, but they do finish up that team. Very good for them.
Yeah, it looks like they're the ones actually hounding for that fight, but I guarantee Golden and AV were doing something sneaky inside the zone. These guys are like bounty hunters every game, taking out a top team. This time, though, Commandment and Avery stopped them. This means there's more of those top fives alive. Avery and Commandment take over as well. And this is also kind of surprising. It's going to be huge for Avery to get this elimination. We just saw that trap entire play go down. So Avery's now back in the game. Yamzo Jamper will have their damage. They can move out, but yeah, they have to catch up on time.
What's different for them, though, right now, they have so much to overcome at this point that probably was the best case scenario for them. The fact that they can actually get eliminations onto 2 players. Because more often than not, when you lose your teammate that early, it's over. You are so far behind a Storm Surge, you are quite literally in a position to be defeated.
Yeah, in terms of items too, when one of your teammates is down, the reason why it's so tough to be able to win the game, have more power when you pick him back up, when you reboot him back into the game, they have no inventory right now. Chewy's gonna be in that perspective in just a sec if Jack and Nosh keep this up. That zone is moving way far away. Still has a whole minute to catch up to where safety is. That's gonna be good for Nosh and Jack, because that puts, you know, Chewy under a timer. But if he lands shots like that, you couldn't even see the shot on your screen. That's how fast it was. Pixel accuracy, inhuman speed. And Chewy, he's not stopping the pressure.
Trying to work his way down now. Knows better. Switches the angle there. Hits a good shot onto the down body. This puts pressure onto Jock to go ahead and play for the pickup. And now he has to make the decision to let Nosh fall. He will just pick up the loot instead and play for the reboot later into the lobby here. Now, there are options, but the real question is, will he just completely disengage or try to play for the finish of this fight? Nope, he wants to finish the fight. That's what Chewy wants to do here, so the battle will continue. Another great angle from Chewy. Talk about unpredictable, standing on the ledge of a floor edit there. He just seems to be ahead of Jock here. I'm not sure, but he's working the situation really nicely right now.
Jock knows when to shoot, but where is the question that he's not going to be able to answer, at least with the first 3 shots. Chewy's weird angles is making Jock's shotgun not actually fire correctly, it seems like. Chewy now, though, will go on the maximum aggression. This time, it actually does hit. That's what we were waiting for. When Jock actually lands his Marcus target, my man hurts. He's inside Chewy's builds for the moment, though, or another team maybe that's been around here, as both players can't really edit any box at all. So this is Chewy interrupting a fight. Jock and Nosh might have not actually wanted this one to actually go down after the fact, but this is happening right now. A big risk. I don't think a reward for either team, though.
Yeah, that shows us that Chewy also picked up the reboot card of his teammate as he ran back over that loot pile there. So he is very much back in the game. He has decision and options here. He does not have to completely finish this fight if he didn't want to. He goes for the piece control, but Jack was quicker with the floor there. Ran behind him, another phase through, and now he's all inside enemy builds. Again, grabs that wall. He's playing very, very cleanly, but the shots need to connect first. Can he outsmart our previous FNCS champion just a couple seasons ago here? So far, so good, but the pressure's on, and the big shot from Jock on the other side of the wall is looking very nicely here. He has time to heal, but it doesn't matter. The storm will do the rest for him, and just like that, he will be successful.
Chewy had the rhythm, unfortunately could not find the base. No type of shot on a Jack, no response on the misses either. Very well, very resilient for the boy. He's gonna be able to just pick up his teammate, keep moving. Hopefully we'll see Nosh in the game. Avery, though, looks like this man was never knocked out of this round. He is just active, landing every single burst fire shot that he can. Commandment, big on him for getting him back into the game. Their ammunition also looking really good. Kanata and Ager's gonna be in their sightlines next.
Impressive elimination from Byla in the feed there again as well. They are making up for lost time, showing us that they're completely not okay with falling in that last game.
Yeah, I talked about a catch-up for the rest of the lobby in this game. Everyone kind of has inspiration to get towards top 5. The top 5 teams as well, they have been struggling a little bit. I feel like outsiders is Fatch and Pamster, who are looking like stars today. They also have a chance to get back into the groove right here. 17 and Cold used to being there, at least by this point on day 2. They'll look to catch up.
This zone also, I just want to say, works very, very well for players like Clix and Duke, whom, by the way, land just to the east of this general area here. So they should be A-okay as far as their overall position goes. Meanwhile, teams that have to rotate in a little later, much worse position to be in, like Edgy and Acorn here.
Yeah, Edgy and Acorn kind of tough. Must play a foul also going down. Some updates on that previous fight. Jack could not make that huge storm rotate either. So you're right, Monster. A lot of these further out teams who want to play towards that edge side, they're going to be running into a lot of traffic from a lot of boxes. Fashion Pamsto, though, I'm not sure which highway they took. Lanes are free. Everything looks like it's that diamond lane. I'm not sure if they have that in the US where you have like 2 people and you can ride faster.
We got 6 lanes in Texas, brother.
Okay,
we're our own country.
It's nuts.
Take a look at this, though. Pamster and Fatch, I mean, you talk about lanes and vehicles that play. No, they took the boat. They're still on the beach over here. Chubbs and Jackson, though, in the struggle of a situation here. Teammate down. Jackson gets finished. After the big last game, they will fall here a bit earlier than they would have liked, but they have jumped themselves so far up. They really have a chance here to play for top 10 as the day continues on. Talk about a surge of confidence as well after you take home a victory royale. It's definitely something not to overlook, especially on a day 2 performance. So here we have it, though. Pamps and Fatch have to make the move.
This is just really interesting. At a definite cost right now, we were just mentioning highways, and now there was, you know, a little bit faster and free. The big thing about them, though, if you look at their loadout in just here in a sec, get the replay real quick. Spade and Chimp popping off. Unfortunately, not going to be that good for them, even if, though, they're getting that first elimination for the moment. Shadow's going to be just too much to handle inside the storm.
That puts them in top 10. That's a very big set of eliminations there. They were in the storm that entire time, so the Siphon's going to keep at least Shadow alive for now, but no Walkers here. Walkers was asking me on social media earlier, hey, hype me up. You guys are doing good. You're going to have to continue to step up here. This will ultimately come down to Shadow if he can clutch up at this point to keep them inside the top 10.
It's really tough to do it from the force zone. Kind of ages, you talk about catch up, they definitely need to now get all the way up towards that 200-point threshold. Top team started at 190 right now. They're about 50 almost points behind. But we know about these guys. It's big swings. It's 2 crucial games each and every day. To win the FNCS, they're going to need at least 4 today.
That is right. 4 big games as well, or 2 monstrous games like Kanata and Adria to just keep you somehow in the conversation. So anything can surely happen, especially after you see Game 7's early upset of Peterbot and Bali falling, giving us much more of a conversational point to work with here, because now this tournament is really wide open here for the taking. Anyone inside this top 6, top 7 position can surely be in that conversation to take this entire weekend home. The biggest cut from the $692,000 prizing is still available. We're just moments away as we work our way through these games here. Game 8. My gosh, we've had so much Fortnite here. Miro and Booga, take a look at this. Above the surge threshold, and they don't care. They want to continue to fight. Miro looking for the side angle. There's a reason he led on eliminations, not only yesterday, but season after season. They work together. They execute well. They find themselves a refresh there, and they're happy about that.
Timing crucial too. The zone just coming in. They don't even take a lot of damage. Straight back to their bases. Miro looking for more friendly players that are running around, but doesn't find much. Everyone evenly spread out in the zone as well. I was talking about Fatch and Pamsto earlier. We'll tune right back in with them. There's been a cost for them to get to this spot, a toll on that highway, so to speak. Their loot not looking the best. Their ammunition not as high either. They haven't seen many teams, but it'll be Quad and Tabs G that might give them a little bit of that treasure they're after, the damage. It's enough to keep them above that threshold for now. They're still gonna be taking a lot of punishment though. Tabs G and Qua backed up against walls. Pansto and Fatch looking free for the moment. It's 3 teams side by side. If one makes a mistake, all go down.
What's crazy about this, they were happy with just a single tag and then he back up. They're like, all right, let's rotate. Let's focus on positioning now. We're not going to get hit for the surge for now, but we got to get in a key position to win this game.
So close, they almost even took over this entire base. Macwood and Threats so low up top. Yeah, they find more mats, huge mats as well. 300, 400 brick for Fatch. I'm not sure if that's a robbery from Macwood's base, but Bilo's right beside them too. Both teams neck and neck. They're pushing way back into the lead as well. Getting eliminations. Pansto Fatch haven't been able to do that this game. Getting punished by Surge, it looks like, or some team in the lobby around them. What about Bila though? Right back, and now both teams tied.
One of the worst positions to be in for sightlines though. Bila's on this low level. They can see a slight exit to the right, but otherwise they'll have to take a box fight if they want to really find something here. And look, the options are in front of them. Duke, Clicks, Paper, Lawrence, 2 top 10 teams. That's no easy pick right now, especially if you're in first place.
First and second place for the moment, both the same cost to be here. Bad loot, no damage. They're moving from way far away to get to the spot at Shuffled Shrines. It's cost them their bread and butter. It's cost them loadouts for now. Clicks and Duke, though, they start the game closer towards the middle of the map.
Here it is.
They'll be looking at big forces to work with up against Peterbot and Bila. Yeah, I think that Peterbot and Bila might pack a little bit more of a punch going towards these boxes. We know their weapons just aren't as mythical, aren't as legendary. Bila now looking for a few shots. They're not going to find much to weave through these builds. Clicks and Duke just too evasive.
What's crazy is, I don't know, you were kind of leaning into Peterbot and Bila. I would never want to box fight Clicks, ever, especially if you have Storm Surge working against you, kind of forcing it. You know they're going to read the room perfectly. That could have ended so bad, but luckily things seem to have went in their favor a little bit here. Meanwhile, on high ground, Threats is looking okay. Macwood there too, but Commandment and Avery on the low ground doing what they do best, just racking up here 4 eliminations. They have not stopped the momentum that they picked up in the early game here. After Avery was saved, they have managed to turn this entire game all the way around.
Bila now down to one of those first place teams effective. It's Aviv that's in the business. D-Roller too. Commandment, he's put Avery into the best positions, but can he survive the onslaught of punishment this game? Keeping up with him now as he leads the tarp. Commandment has to heal up. They'll be impeded on speed. Peterbot looking towards the back. He has to solo clutch, so every single elim, every single shot matters.
No Bila here, but he is above the surge. He manages to find just a couple tags. Meanwhile, on height, Day and Cease manage to maintain. They are back. Can they get a victory royale here to put them in that conversation? They managed to do so yesterday playing well, but Peterbot gets revenge on Aviv and then completely finished there by Avery and Commandment on the low ground. The circle comes all the way around and first place falls.
Makes the personal, goes down to business. Now for Booga and Miro, it's all about profits. They want to keep making sure that they stay ahead of the competition in this game. 10 points slightly behind from that second place team. Do I see Pam still alive? Yes. Fatch nowhere close by, so his run actually is full HP. They're side by side. I'm just distracted by that low HP on Pamsto. 2 HP, he's still leading that tarp. Fatch baiting him. Meanwhile, Booga Miro in a much more confident position. They're way high looking for more traps and things to drop players into their builds. beams all around, and it's Agers going down. Another top team affected.
Bugha and Miro starting to get active as well here. 3 eliminations, so much mats, much more to work with. Clix and Duke looking well is here too, as they have mats, they have heals as well. They're starting to get ahead. Acorn is going to get punished here. No edging in sight, crushed and out in top 4. And now Avery and Kameme have a chance to steal that spot away. They're at 5 eliminations. They're looking excellent. Kanata finds Acorn there, and now he goes for high ground. He peeks at it, but Cease and Day block him out.
Cease and Day, one of the most oppressive duels when they are on height, are doing magic. Meanwhile, the secret weapons, the spells cast for Commandment and Avery, they're not going to be active right now. They have no health to be able to work with and dip in and out of the storm. Miro and Bugha going to have to position over D-Roller and take many beams and push him way down to the low ground, separated from his teammate. Thatch, absolutely rained on. He will go down up in first place. The third place team, 6th place, even catch up. The entire board can rise.
This is an opportunity now for Clix here to jump back into things.
Commandment, though, he's going to just go down to the storm. Meanwhile, all the way up top, Blake takes down Day. He gets the full elimination, too, so height changes hands.
Height is going to be available for anyone to grab here. Cease is now by himself, a solo on high ground. That's not easy to maintain here. If one player figures it out, it's all over. Meanwhile, Miro and Bugha on the low ground now have a chance to take that first place spot here. Just a couple eliminations away here. Kanata continues to fight as well. Just a single elim. We haven't seen him this inactive in so long, but hey, the end game, the placements are great. Bugha finds Rise. That's a big one. He needed that.
The weight of the world is on Cease's shoulders, though, as he's up on high ground all by himself. No one's noticed yet, and no team's really active high enough to take that spot. Clix finally using that low ground to do what he does best, just win in every single box fight situation. Miro taking the long route. Bugha doesn't just get rattled down by Duke up top. They control this low ground land, although they can't really breathe. They have to stay quiet, stay low. These guys are no strangers to these clutch type situations.
Bugha will fall to the zone there, so Duke will ultimately get that siphon in the end. Kanata now by himself. Miro, 36 HP, turns on it, gets dropped by a 2-man operation from behind. And now it's 2-on-2 on the low ground. Solo up top and another in the mix.
Blake taking down Titans to work up his way on the board. Cease still undetected all the way on height. There's a few players around them, one of them being Kanata, that they can reach by and just touch to take out. They convert, though. They have the most momentum taken out. I would say a majority of players to get over to this point. Kanata, that's the last time you get to touch the zone. Need the siphon now. It's not going to be possible. Cease's damage will burn him dry.
Finally, because Cease needed that as well, and he will need the mass to maintain high ground. But TK on the low has been the disruptor of the lobby here. 8 eliminations. Finally survives the early game contested fight and will make his first appearance in an end game. But Vert and Blake are trying to do that as well. From Condo Canyon now to the end game. Duke versus Cease on height. Duke will hold it down here, and now it's his to win. He finishes out Cease, and now he's in control. Low ground is still in play, but those are all solos.
Eradicates leaders. Now there's a duo all the way up top. 2v2 situation. Blake and Vert, who've taken down every single obstacle in this game so far, and Clix and Duke finally breathing the air in the sky.
A win is on the horizon for Clix. Potentially here, 6 elims. Can they make it 8? Or will Vert and Blake clutch up here in an unfashioned, uncalled for low ground turnaround? Here it is. They start to look up. It's looking like the classic days. That's how you got to play it. You got to play and fight back. Offense will win. In the end, Clix hits the shot, and he hits the other 2, and there will take it home.
Blake and Vert cannot stop the power that is Clix and Duke. What a shot from him, going right down and facing him. Mano y mano, doesn't need that height advantage. He'll take you on your lair. That's where he started too. I like that from the team. What a dynamic way to take height and win the game.
I mean, listen, one of the most asked for, the most requested perspectives is Clix and Duke, right? Everyone wants to know, how are they doing? Where are they? Are they winning? And look at that, Duke with the biggest play that he could have done this tournament so far. He took high ground.
Yeah, and it wasn't just flair. It wasn't just really hot action or the craziest shots, the best edits from Clix and Duke this time. It's what they've been building for 8 games so far that finally works. Patience.
There's something about when that Victor Royale music plays, it gets exciting here. Clix and Duke will take game number 1 or number 8 here, and they jump their way on up with the Victor Royale here inside, well inside that top 5 now, solidifying themselves a great spot.
A beautiful way to win, and a new one from Clix and Duke. It's never that slow, it's never that methodical, usually so much more emotion packed into a performance like that, but that's what you like to see on NA East Evolution.
Yeah, definitely, and we have so much more developing here, so let's send it on over to our analyst.
Congratulations to Clicks and Duke. You know that chat is popping off right now, but also Blake and Vert on the low ground run and Cease's solo high ground. Just so much happened in the in-game there.
Oh, he tried so hard. I was excited to see Cease and Day on the high ground, right? We saw the victory route out of them yesterday, and after that, they didn't get much points. So I was like, oh, yes, they're going to start playing for this high ground more, and we're going to see them rise up the leaderboard. But unfortunately, he does go down a little bit early there. And finally, though, Jacob, look at that. We saw a South Zone. Booga and Mira, you know, they're finally happy. But another team that is happy, it's got to be Clicks and Duke. This was right outside of the Jonases, a home field advantage. And listen, we got to say it. Clicks fans rise, of course, because I feel like this is the first time we've seen them as a duo in the end game, and they show us why. If they get there as a duo, you have to look out.
Yeah, you're saying Clicks and Duke got to be happy. Probably the thousands and thousands of people cheering them on as well, because they have to be the fan favorite. But that momentum I was talking about from the qualifiers bleeding through here in the actual finals. They are looking like one of the teams to beat. And I talked about Clicks and his solo performances up until this point. 6 plays, they would have been down all the way to 20th. But Clicks and Duke showing what they can do as a duo as well.
There's only 1 point separating first through third right now. That is absolutely crazy.
Wow, listen, I talked about it. It's going to be close all throughout the day. And honestly, that's on the back foot of some of these top tier teams not finding the consistency that we saw out of them yesterday. For example, Pamsto and Fatch. Now, yes, you know, they had to kind of fight for this lead that they do have. They still are in first place, but that gap, like Kelly mentioned, it's gone. There is none. There is a 0-point difference between them and second place. But still, this is one of those instances where we know they land all the way to the north side of the map. So yeah, this was probably a little bit of a tougher zone for them. But listen, this is what the rest of the lobby has been dealing with, Pamsto and Fatch. You know what I mean? Like, it's time for you guys